Have you ever wondered if you can shift your reality simply using your mind? This is exactly what the law of attraction suggests. And in this video, I want to look at this from a scientific perspective and show you just how powerful your mind can be. My name's Georgia. I'm currently studying a master's degree in consciousness, spirituality and transpersonal psychology. And in my free time, I love to research the law of attraction and how science links to spirituality. Now, in this video, I want to examine this idea of whether or not our consciousness or our beliefs actually has an impact on our reality and give you 3 examples of how this might happen. So the first way that our mind can influence our reality is through our perception. And this is because our perception is determined by our beliefs. The way we perceive reality is that our sensory organs send signals from our outer environment to our brain. But the image we see is not of an objective reality. We see a reality that has been interpreted based on our beliefs. So imagine for a second looking at the world through colour-tinted glasses. This is exactly what it's like for all of us as individuals perceiving the world, because we're all perceiving them through a different set of beliefs. So let me give you an example. So money is something that we all have very different beliefs about. Now, think of someone who grew up in a household where they never had to worry about money. Money was always abundant for them. They always had everything they need. They're going to have a very positive outlook towards money. They're going to believe that it's an abundant resource. Now, contrast that to someone who grew up in a household that was struggling with money, that didn't always have food on the table, or was constantly hearing their parents talk about struggles with money. They're going to have a very different perception of money. They're going to believe that it's difficult to come by. They may even believe that money is evil, that it's a scarce resource. So they're going to have a very different perception of money than someone who grew up in a household where money wasn't an issue. And in both of these cases, this is exactly the same object that we're talking about. But because both of these people grew up with very different life circumstances, they can now look at the same object but have a very different perception of it because of their beliefs. And I just want to give you another example to show you just how deep this can go. So there was a study done where they took people who were studying wine, so people who were studying to become wine experts, whatever the technical term for that is, and basically they gave them 2 glasses of wine. Now these 2 glasses of wine were identical, they were exactly the same wine, but they told them that one was a cheap wine and one was an expensive wine. And the people in this study actually rated the one that was supposedly more expensive as tasting better than the one that was supposedly cheaper. And yet they were exactly the same glass of wine. And they also did another test where they took 2 glasses of white wine and they dyed one of them red. And again, they asked them to describe the taste of these wines. And even though they were exactly the same glass of white wine, one of them just happened to be dyed. Because these people believed it was a glass of red wine, they described it as if it was red wine. These people's sense of taste was completely distorted because of their beliefs. This study shows just how powerful our beliefs can be in shaping our experience. There really is something to be said about choosing more positive beliefs in life, about rewiring our brain so that we have a more positive outlook on life. So if you want to shift your reality, the first step is recognizing how powerful your beliefs are and choosing beliefs that actually serve you and that serve the life that you want to live or create. Now, the second way that our mind influences our reality is through the placebo effect. Now, the placebo effect again demonstrates just how powerful our beliefs can be, this time within the context of our physical body and physical health. Now, what the placebo effect is it's an effect whereby our mind can actually cause physical changes in our body based on our beliefs. Now, this can be in a positive way or in a negative way. We can have positive beliefs which induce positive changes in our body, such as physical healing, but we can also have negative beliefs which prevent healing or cause detrimental things to happen within our body. But looking at this from a positive perspective, the most common example of the placebo effect is where someone is given a sugar pill. So they're giving a pill that does absolutely nothing, it's not medication, it's not supposed to induce any change in the body, but they are told that that sugar pill is some form of medication. So they believe that they're being given active medication, and so they believe that that pill is going to make them better. And what happens in many cases is that these individuals do actually experience some form of healing, despite never actually being given the active medication. So the placebo effect is used in many trials of medication to see whether the medication has more of an effect than just the placebo. But what the placebo effect does is it shows us just how powerful our mind can be in actually influencing our physical health. So it highlights the importance of this mind-body connection. So if we're wanting to experience some form of physical healing, then yes, of course, we should look at what modern medicine has to offer in terms of remedies and approaches such as medication, but we should also look to pair those with the power of our beliefs and our minds. The way that the placebo effect works is that our beliefs or expectations cause physical processes to start happening in our body. So there is a physical aspect to the placebo effect in that it activates healing pathways within the body, but the key thing to understand within the context of this video is that it is our beliefs or our mind that sets those processes off in the first place. And the placebo effect can work to enhance medications. So I first gave the example of a sugar pill, so where someone isn't receiving any medication and yet their beliefs can actually induce physical healing despite that. But the placebo effect does also work in combination with medications, so it can actually make certain medications more effective. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because nowadays I feel like it is too common for people to have such materialistic worldviews that they recognise the power of physical interventions but do not recognise the power of the mind. And then on the flip side of that, whilst I am someone who very much believes in the law of attraction and obviously in the power of our minds, I want to be very clear that I'm not promoting that whatever you want to achieve in life, you should just use your mind. I think there is a balance to be struck here between mindset and action, or between the spiritual and the physical. When it comes to all these things, I think it's so important that we find balance and recognise the power of both of them together. But going back to the placebo effect, it's so incredible because the placebo effect is just so well documented, and it is just an amazing example of just how powerful our minds can be. So the placebo effect demonstrates that our mind can have a physical effect on our body, but does it go further than this? This brings me on to the third way that our mind might influence our reality, and this is through quantum physics. Now this all comes down to an experiment called the double slit experiment, and essentially what happens in this experiment is that we're sending quantum particles through a screen that has two slits in. So these particles, such as electrons, are fired through the two slits. And what's really interesting here is that the particles act differently depending on whether or not the experiment is being measured. So if there is a measuring device present that is detecting the particles, then the particles act like particles. But it gets really interesting when you take the measuring device away, because as soon as you're not measuring the experiment or detecting the particles, then the particles start acting very strangely. What happens is they produce an interference pattern. Now, an interference pattern is what we get when two waves interfere with each other. They interfere with each other and they create an interference pattern. So for some reason, when quantum particles are not being measured or observed, they produce an interference pattern in the double slit experiment. So it's as if they're acting like waves. Now we can't say that there definitely are waves, because when the measuring device is present, when we can actually observe these atoms, then they start acting like atoms again. So we have no way of seeing what state they're in when they're producing this interference pattern. All we know is that an interference pattern is characteristic of waves, so it seems like the particles are behaving like waves when they're in this state. Now the main point here is that quantum particles act differently in different circumstances. Now this whole mystery surrounding measurement, why they seem to behave like waves when they're not being measured and suddenly revert back to behaving like particles when they are being measured, this is called the measurement problem in quantum physics. Now there are many different interpretations of what's going on here, and one of them is called the von Neumann-Wigner interpretation. And this suggests that it is consciousness that is causing this effect to happen, i.e. that it's consciousness which is causing the particle to go from this state in which it seems like it's behaving like a wave into the state where it is behaving like a particle again. So the von Neumann-Wigner interpretation suggests that consciousness is somehow responsible for this transition. Now, it's not very specific about exactly how consciousness would cause this, or what about consciousness it is that would cause this process to happen. Now, one example might be, obviously we've been talking about the measuring device and this device taking a measurement. So one example of how consciousness might play into this is when a human observer reads the measurement or registers the measurement on the measuring device. Now even that leaves us with many questions, but the key point of this interpretation is that consciousness is involved in affecting the states of quantum particles. So if the von Neumann-Wigner interpretation is true, then it's really profound, because it means that not only can our beliefs shift our reality through our perception, and not only can our mind affect our reality through affecting our body, The von Neumann-Wigner interpretation means that our mind could influence the physical reality that is external to us, and that would be incredible if it is true. Now, if you want to learn more about this interpretation, then I went really in depth into it in my last video, which I'll link here. I go incredibly in depth into the double slit experiment so that you can understand exactly what's happening in that experiment. And I'll also walk you through some objections people have to that interpretation, as well as objections to those objections. And I also even go through another interpretation within quantum physics, which relates to manifestation. So if you want to know exactly how quantum physics relates to the law of attraction in incredible detail, then you can check out this video next. But for now, thank you so much for watching this video. I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I really hope to see you in the next video.